Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cinema Savvy. My name is Tate. I'm joined today with Charlie, and we are talking about Darren Aronofsky's film, The Whale. A lot of hype behind this film going into the festival. I think when it first got announced for the festival, it was my immediate draw of the eye going, they've got the whale, they've got the whale. I can't believe we're going to get to see that. But we'll be talking about all of that in a bit. How are we doing today, Charlie?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, it's day, what are we on now? 10, I think. I don't know. I've completely lost track, but it's yeah, the end is in sight. So it's been a crazy couple of weeks, but I'm doing good.
Good. Making sure the films don't just blend together at this
Oh,
point
they have.
from the amount
Yeah.
that we have seen. Anyway, we want to know your opinions at home whilst going into this. So please comment below on your thoughts on The Whale. If you've seen it, if you're excited to see it. We'll go into minor spoilers today-ish, not really, but we're not going to give away the big things, but we may talk about some things which strains that territory. So if you don't want those spoilers, then please tune off in a short while. But please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe as well. Also, please go follow us on all of our social medias to find out when the reviews are going to be coming out from all of London Film Festival, all the stuff we do outside of that as well. So go follow us on Facebook and Letterboxd. That's just Cinema Savvy. Go follow us on Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy. And go into the link in the description on Redbubble and pick up any of our merch. Help support the channel. Before we start, Charlie, I'll throw up your Twitter as well. If you want to just talk briefly about what has been your favorite parts of the festival so far.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite film has changed a couple of times throughout. It started off really strong because Matilda was my number one until about halfway through. And then The Good Nurse took the top spot, and then this morning I saw She Said, and that's just pipped it to the post. So it's been pretty crazy. But you can find everything from me down here at Funny Old World X. I'm on Twitter all day, every day, posting my thoughts on films. So go and have a look.
Brilliant. Excellent. So let's get cracking on with this. Let's go immediately into our first thoughts going into the film, because this film doesn't actually have a trailer that's been released as of the time of recording this. It doesn't really have a poster as well. All it has is Brendan Fraser's face, which, I mean, spoiler for the film, like, it's not just a camera on his face for the entire time. We do get to see a lot more of Brendan Fraser and his entire apartment, and that's about it.
Yeah.
But what were your kind of thoughts going into it, first of all?
I didn't know a huge amount about it other than the very basic premise that it was about a £600 man who wants to rekindle his relationship with his estranged teenage daughter. That was basically all I knew about it. Didn't know where the story had come from. It's my first Aronofsky film, so I didn't know what style to expect. But obviously the reception it got at Venice kind of built that hype. You know, didn't get like a 13-minute standing ovation or something. So yeah, so I was excited is definitely the case, but excited for like the unknown, I suppose.
So this had been on kind of the cards for a while now. I remember when it was first announced that, oh, Brendan Fraser's going to star in a Darren Aronofsky film. It's going to be called The Whale. He's going to be playing a £600 man, and that's about 270 kilograms for people who use that measurement. And he's going to be wearing a bodysuit, sure, but he's also going to be, you know, putting on the pounds for it as well to kind of get his facial features and his body kind of towards that area. And the first initial thought is, wow, Brendan Fraser, have not heard that name in a very long time.
Yeah.
I think the last time I saw him in anything at all would have been Scrubs. And that's all the way back in like 2007, 2008 that he was in that. So he's been out of the game for a while. Secondly, it was the fact that he was going to be working on a Darren Aronofsky piece, which for his other films, they're all a little bit weird, all a little bit out there, but they always get the best out of their actors in every single situation. Very well critically acclaimed, his work. A lot of it is a bit weird, but I do quite like some of the stuff that he does, even the stuff that people don't like from his films from recent memory. But it was very intriguing that he was going to be playing this character. And people were immediately saying, oh, this this one could be, you know, on the cards for awards and stuff like that if it's done right. And my immediate first thought from actually seeing the film was, and we were getting out the cinema, we've had a quick discussion about it. My immediate first thought was, this man has just gone and won Best Actor at the Oscars. I know you disagree with me on that one, but that was my immediate kind of first thought of the performance. It is a performance of a career.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fantastic. He's able to play such beautiful kind of subtlety to his kind nature, even in the face of what he's dealing with. And just the way he's able to act with the various different actors and change that style of acting, the small moments of outburst, the kind of small moments of sympathy, it's all melted in together into this fantastic acting performance, which for one part is behind the bodysuit, but you can tell that he's put in the work here, and this is a ridiculously good performance.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting to be having these conversations about Brendan Fraser. You know, like he's George of the Jungle and The Mummy and Bedazzled. Like he was up there at the top of his game in the like 2000s, and people loved him. But he was, you know, he was just a fun family film kind of really good-looking actor. So it's really interesting to be having these kind of conversations about him. Like I really do think he'll be nominated. He's got an Oscar nomination coming his way.
Oh, guaranteed. It's just whether it's him versus Austin Butler, isn't it?
So far, I mean, there definitely is still room for more names to be dropped in that fight. But I think I do think Austin has still got it in the bag so far. But, you know, I mean, Natalie Portman won with an Aronofsky film, and I don't think people really saw that coming at the time of release. So you never know. You just don't know how the Academy are going to sort of receive films like this. It's a very it's a very non-Hollywood film, if you know what I mean by that. It's a very kind of stripped back, a very personal character piece.
It is a non-Hollywood film, but at the same time, I would say this has award season written all over it. And the reason why is because it's kind of a contained film. The entire film is set around the apartment, so it really leans on the screenplay. And I want to say it was a play beforehand. Yes, it was. And if there was any critique I would give of this film, it was that a couple of times it did feel like I was just watching a play put onto film, in the same way that watching Fences was just a play put onto film. There was no real effort to make it seem like it wasn't a play. Just whenever people enter or exit the door, lingering in the doorway. I always hate it when people do that in film and stage productions. I know it's done for the dramatic effect, but this does happen a couple of times in this film. Aside from that, I think the direction is very good for the limited space that it has. And what Aronofsky is able to get from his actors and what he's able to get from this performance within this closed, confined space and the camera work used is very well done. He's been able to work with it over his entire career, from kind of the weird dream sequences from Requiem of a Dream to the madness that is the final act of Mother, or even The Fountain, the stuff that just all of the films that he's done previously. He's able to take little elements of it and apply it into this film and into this setting, which I really liked.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's my first film of his, so I haven't got...
I'm so shocked by that.
I know, I'm shocked by it, to be honest, because I can list all his films. I know who's in all his films. I just haven't actually sat down and watched any of them. Most of the time, it's because people have told me, oh, that'll be too intense for you to watch at the cinema. So I'm like, okay, I'll wait till it comes out, and I guess I'm still waiting to watch them. But yeah, for a first experience, which I suppose is a different way to look at it than a lot of people, is his direction, I think, was great. I actually didn't know it was a play until after, and it didn't actually occur to me throughout watching it that it was. However, now I know that, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. The hanging about in the wings, you know, the kind of the fact that one of the characters, we don't even really see him, but he's very present throughout the film. And you know, I think it's a testament to a filmmaker if they are able to adapt a play into a film without it being really wordy and really like overwhelmingly clearly a play on screen. You mentioned Fences. Also, I think One Night in Miami from 2 years ago was also had that very stagey kind of feel.
Feels like a play, is kind of based on a play, and you can tell that immediately. This film gets away with it in some areas, doesn't get away with it in others. I'd say the more you think about it, we always see the person come past the door you always see that in stage productions because it's the entrance of a new character.
Exactly.
And the fact that we don't actually get to see much of his house, I'm assuming the stage play is literally just set in his living room and doesn't go past there.
Yeah.
But no, I found it really interesting. We've got a very interesting couple of supporting acting performances. I want to talk about Hong Chau as Liz, because as much as I'd love to talk about Sadie Sink, popular actress, done very well this year with Stranger Things, she didn't steal the show. Hong Chau was fantastic in this film. And I don't think I've seen her in... Have I seen her in anything else? I'm trying to think.
The only thing I know her from is Downsizing. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I have seen Downsizing a long time ago.
Yeah.
But her performance in this was just brilliant. There's so much heart going into it.
Yeah.
There's just that connection that she has with Brendan Fraser and his character is so brilliantly well done. Like, it's a character you're immediately drawn to, and the emotion that she exhibits across the entire film was just fantastic and kept the plot moving along and kept the emotions moving.
Yeah, and it was so nice because before she actually came on screen, she was just referred to as his friend who's a nurse. And then as the plot progressed, it became so apparent how much more she was to him than that. And I think that is, and her performance really does resonate that as well. Their friendship seems so genuine. All her emotions seem so surface level and believable. And I just think she as a character had the hardest job because she had to be empathetic but also angry at him, and like struggling with her own personal experiences. And I think she was really quite phenomenal. I would love to see a supporting actress nomination for her. I think she would deserve it, definitely.
I'd say out of the supporting actresses in this film, she was the one who absolutely would have deserved it the most.
Yeah.
Not saying that Sadie Sink's performance wasn't good, because Sadie Sink's performance was good, but she was completely outshone in this character, which is really interesting because a lot of the plot to this film rides on Sadie Sink's character as Charlie's daughter, who is estranged from him, and he's trying to make that reconnection there. And there were points in the film where it did feel like stage acting, and especially with her character. She was the one who did the lingering in the doorway, and I know that's a direction piece. A lot of her sentences, she would stop halfway through and change location, go to a sofa, or go to a couch, or stand up, and be really the driving kind of point of those conversations there, and be the main focus of them, with a lot of monologues talking about kind of her experiences with her life outside of Brendan Fraser's Charlie. So it was very interesting that that was the role that she was given. And I know that's nothing to take away from her as an actress, but that's more on Darren Aronofsky and how he's directed her in this situation.
I do think that there was an element of, we need a stroppy teenager who plays a good stroppy teenager.
Yeah.
We've seen Sadie Sink do that, so we know she can do it. I don't think her performance was that far that different really from what she does in Stranger Things, and I think that's a bit of a shame, really. It would have been nice to see her kind of range a little bit more. But for me, actually, the scene stealer, as she always is, regardless of what she's in, is Samantha Morton. I just think she's just mind-blowingly good. No matter, I mean, she has a tiny role in this film. She's also in She Said, another tiny role, but she's just so captivating to watch as an actress. And I think she really also helped sort of churn the emotion of the piece. And her scene with Brendan Fraser is just
to say that she's only in one scene and is one of those performances where, depending on what the other supporting actresses' performances are like for the rest of the year, she could sneak in as a nomination as well.
That would make me very happy.
She's in for one scene. The scene lasts for about 10-15 minutes, and dear God, she acts just all over the scene, all over the screen. And it's just such an impact performance, shall we say. Comes in kind of halfway through the film, says exactly what needs to be said, performs every single role that she has within that conversation perfectly, and then leaves, and we don't see her again. And it's just the brilliant kind of like drop-in performance. It's the perfect, what you'd say, like cameo, even if it is an elongated cameo of that. The final person I want to talk about, because we won't talk about the Pizza Man. The Pizza Man.
He's uncredited anyway.
He's credited as Dan by Safia Sridan. So I'll put his name out there for people just so that, he can have that little moment. Ty Simpkins as Thomas, the religious preacher. He was actually, I quite enjoyed his performance. I liked his character. I don't know if it was because it was something to push back against and
Yeah,
not something to root against, but something that was a different perspective on the entire situation, which this film needed. Because it would
yeah,
have been very depressing if it was just people criticizing him for his weight and
yeah.
him kind of feeling sorry for himself and not really doing anything about it. To have that religious element thrown in and to actually have that tied back into Liz's plot as well, I think it made the film whole, if that made
Yeah.
sense. It made it have a purpose further than, just kind of wallowing in his kind of guilt and in his kind of shame over his weight and
Mhm.
just that constant kind of fear of being seen by other people and that constant fear of, like what happens if, this is too much, which is basically the basis of this film. To
Mhm.
have that pushback from someone who's a religious missionary and someone who's always very kind of happy clappy, like God can save you, and going into those kind of elements was a brilliant way of tying off the ends of the film.
Yeah, and it gave it just like another layer, another level of like depth to the plot, and also gives all the actors and characters something else to sort of work with. There's a nice moment between him and Sadie Sink's character, where where Charlie's character is actually not even a part of that scene at all, and it's nice just to be kind of yeah, like you say, just kind of spread the focus a little bit, give everyone something else to kind of follow, and questions were asked as well. Like he's a very interesting character. He's a very sort of mysterious character to begin with. It's a little bit like,
Mm.
who is this guy and where did he come from and what's he trying to do? I don't get it. But obviously it does all get tied up. But yeah, he was great. And again, nice to see him doing something totally different. I mean, I only know him from Iron Man
Yeah.
3 and Jurassic World. So nice to see him doing something that's actually a bit more acty.
Yeah, good, good, good. So let's talk very quickly about the. Well, we've talked a little bit about the setting. I want to talk a bit more about the cinematography of the film
Mhm,
because a lot of the film is actually quite dark. They use a lot of lighting from the apartment, and the shades are kind of closed to his house because he doesn't want to be seen by the outside world.
mhm,
So a lot of the lighting is just the internal lighting that's there from the scenes. The camera doesn't really roam too much as well. There's a few different kind of settings and places that the camera will go to, whether it be the couch, the kitchen, or very rarely creeps over to the bedroom, but it's set in those kind of areas. Do you think
mhm.
that was just kind of like the directional choice because it was based off a play that would have been set in one room?
Yeah, I
And
suppose
keeping it tied down to that?
yeah, it kind of locates the audience a little bit, doesn't it? Kind of gives them a stage left and a stage right to play with,
Mm.
which yeah, I mean, if it depends how familiar with the play Aronofsky was when he blocked the film, but I suppose he kind of maybe didn't want to take it too far away from its roots.
Well,
Well, tell me.
just looking on the information here, it said that he'd been trying to get this film made for a decade.
Wow.
So long, 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 long time he'd been, kind of looking at that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just kind of I'm just reading through a few bits here. So Brendan Fraser joined on quite early on, actually. It
Mhm.
was kind of the first person he cast. He knew exactly who he wanted for it and went from there and kind of based the cast around that to see who would work with him best. Um,
That's really
yeah.
fascinating to me because I wonder what it is about Brendan Fraser that made him go, "That's who I want." Because, like we say, he's not done anything for a decade. You know, he's kind of been for his own personal reasons and career
So
choices. He's kind of not been
apparently,
around.
he cast him once he saw a trailer for Journey to the End of the Night.
I don't know that film.
I don't know that film either.
Have to
I'm
go and find
assuming
that.
that he's in that film. You can only assume. So that was that film was out in 2006,
Okay, that's just still going back. You know.
and he was the lead role in that. But he apparently saw the trailer for it on YouTube, and that's exactly the character that he wanted. So I'm not sure when he did that casting, but
Yeah,
you know,
mental.
yeah, crazy, crazy, crazy. The score to this film, I didn't really notice it too much going throughout the film because a lot of it is talking throughout the entire film.
Mm.
However, that final scene, oh my lord, it kicks in like crazy. I'm waiting for it to become available on Spotify,
Yeah.
to be able to listen to it again. Um, there are a lot of emotional scenes in this film, and emotion is almost all, well, in most scenes you can get away with it sometimes, but a lot of the time is driven by the music and the score that goes behind it. This is one of those films where you hear the score, you see what's happening on screen, and it just makes you emotional. Especially towards the end of the film where it really kicks up, like straight up.
Yeah.
I thought it was really, really good. I do want to see if there was on rewatch, if it was kind of subtly throughout the entire film building and building and building. But I guess we'll see that on second viewing.
Yeah, I didn't really pick up on the score too much, like you say, whilst I was watching it. It kind of was just, I knew it was there as a tool to try and drive the emotion, but until, like you said, until that final sort of 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes of the film, it when it really kicks in, it kind of was just unnoticeable to me. Not to say it wasn't good, I'm sure it was brilliant, but I just didn't, it wasn't like a standout feature of the film for me.
Good. Okay, let's go into our final thoughts. So I'll ask you first, just kind of your thoughts on the film. Will you be seeing this again soon?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved it a lot more than I thought I would, actually. I was a little bit worried about certain elements of it. I didn't want it to be too fat shaming. I didn't want it to focus on the wrong parts, but actually it focused completely on the bits it needed to. I will watch it again, probably not in the cinema. I don't even know if it's getting a cinema release here. I assume. I'm not sure what the plan is with it yet.
I'm not actually quite sure.
Yeah, so I probably wouldn't rush to see it again at the cinema, but I would watch it again, especially if it does get those Oscar nominations that we were talking about. But what I will also say, and I think this is incredibly, I think it's a huge achievement for a director to know exactly when to close the end of a film. And I think Aronofsky just nailed it. Like, I've seen so many films over the last few weeks where they just maybe go on a little bit too long. They should have ended 10 minutes before they did, or we didn't need that storyline to be tied up. We didn't need that extra bit of dialogue. This one just ends so perfectly. So that's my takeaway from it. I just think he nailed that.
If there's one person who knows how to end films, for people who have seen the films, The Fountain, The Wrestler, Black Swan, they all end on that absolute crescendo. This film does exactly the same. Cool. And there is a lot to take from this film that is kind of similar to The Wrestler. A man dealing with, a health condition, trying to reconnect with their child, and kind of an end crescendo kind of like final kind of bow out moment. It's fantastic overall in that same sense. I really enjoyed this film. I'm really looking forward to seeing it again. And I know it will be all over kind of award seasons for various different categories. I really do want, I know you want Austin Butler. Because he is the new kid on the block.
Not even that I necessarily want him to win. I just truly believe he will.
Fantastic performance by him. Yeah. But I really, really want Brendan Fraser to win. In the same way that we had the reconnaissance. Yeah. You know, I really want the Renaissance. I really want it. I really hope that more people give him a chance in Hollywood, especially if he's able to put in performances like this. But overall, I really enjoyed this film. It was really fantastic, and I can't wait to see what everyone else thinks about it. And if you have seen it, this is where you comment below and tell us your thoughts on it yourself, because we love a discussion here on the channel. Love to get everyone involved on that as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe as well with that. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at cinema_savvy. Follow us on Facebook and Letterboxd. Just type in Cinema Savvy, you'll find us there, or down in the description as well. And the link in the description for Redbubble, where you can find pillows and jumpers and coffee cups and caps, loads of different things in loads of different colors. So go help support the channel out on there. I will also put up Charlie's Twitter feed again if you want to self-advertise yourself very quickly before we close out. Yeah,
just go and give me a follow on Twitter. I'm also on Instagram, so you can find me on there. But for lots of Matt Damon love, basically.
Excellent. So we do have some more videos that are going to be coming out. We're actually recording this back to back. So we're doing this one recording now. We're going to be doing Empire of Light next, another film from the festival. There are loads more festival films that we're going to be doing reviews coming out soon as well. So please keep an eye out for that. We also have Our next from our Spielberg retrospective coming out, we have Bridge of Spies. That was a very interesting discussion. I absolutely adore that film. So go check that out. It's a brilliant film. Starting to get towards modern day Spielberg, getting very close now. We've actually crossed over into the territory of films that we've already reviewed on the channel. So this is going to be our kind of second look of films now coming out from the Spielberg retrospective. If you are into Star Wars, as most people are nowadays, go and check out our Andor spoiler reviews every Wednesday. The series has been fantastic so far. So can't wait to get on there and discuss that even more. Brilliant. So thank you ever so much for watching, and we will see you very soon in the next one. Goodbye.